good to see you guys. Good morning. Good morning. Jump on in. It is Monday. Brand new year, you guys. We are like ready to rock and roll. Today's starting our new time. We've been at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Now we are at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I hope everybody set their alarm or something, because I know that was a big change for everybody. But every single day, Monday through Friday, we come at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, the new time, and we talk about insulin resistance and all of the connections to all of the little tentacles of your world, because I'm telling you, if you will change the lens that you view everything through, man, your life can get like multiplied 100 times better in the year 2025. I'm not even kidding. Good morning, Claudette. Good morning. Oh, good. The time change worked. I was like, oh no. No, I'm just kidding. You guys kind of told me it was better if it is better just to move it back an hour because of people's lunch hours, etc. Okay, housekeeping for today. Housekeeping. Today we start our 20th challenge, our 20th 5-day reset. 5-day reset. Who wants to be a part of a 5-day reset? I am telling you what. I was going to have a testimony ready for you. Nike. Hold on. I think I can pull it up. So somebody in the group is called Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. In the group, she posted that, I'm looking it up right now because I can on my new device. She was basically saying, I am telling you what. Oh man. See, now sorry about that. She was talking about her A1C, and she was saying that in January of 2024, her A1C was, this is where I always want to get my numbers correct. So I'm going to look it up. Her numbers were like 6.9. And when she started in March with the trio, the 3 supplements that have the 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity, over 5 months, she got off of I can't make claims, right? But this is her story. She got off of diabetes meds and her A1C dropped. And that's where I want the numbers to be proper. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because testimony ready for you. Hold on. Nike. Hold on. I think I can pull it up. I'm going to turn that off. I just want you to know that when people are getting real results like that, it is life-changing to be able to have things happen where you never maybe thought you were going to get off of scripts. You never thought that maybe you would go in the direction of insulin sensitivity. You never thought that you were going to be able to make a difference in any part of your insulin resistance journey, because you've never really focused on it through the lens of insulin resistance. A lot of people do not know that their high blood pressure is connected. And that's not the topic of our conversation today. We're going to talk about the connection with anxiety. And that's what we're going to dive into today. But I just want you to know that if you want to get different results, if you want an actual blueprint for this year of 2025 to turn back your insulin resistance so that you can lose weight, bring down your sugars, bring down your insulin, sleep better, have less anxiety, just feel better, not crashing all the time in your energy, not chasing carbs all the time. Good morning, Sheila. Thank you so much for liking and tapping. I so appreciate you. You're amazing. And you shared the live. You're my new friend, Sheila. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Seriously. It is so helpful on TikTok to get information out. Phyllis says, good snowy morning from Arkansas. What is happening right now, Phyllis? Good morning, Terry. Good to see you. Snow in Arkansas. And do you know that I'm in Minnesota? The snow missed us. It totally missed us. It came down, or it came over from like Washington or whatever, the weather did. And it hit South Dakota, and then it kind of went south. And Minnesota, we're just sitting here like I'm looking out my window right now, brown grass. What's going on? Isn't that crazy? And my daughter and her husband and kids were in Kansas City when this all hit. And they were on their way. They stayed in Kansas City for about 5 days to be with a friend. And then they scooted out of there just in the nick of time because he was heading down to Texas for work. So now they're in Texas. But she said, we did still have about an hour of driving with sleet on our windshield. And I don't know if you guys have seen any of the news about Kansas City and those areas. OMG. Because you know what? Ice is something, snow you can deal with. I mean, I know down south it's hard to deal with snow. I get that. I'm in Minnesota where literally it is true. The meme of the snowplow trucks that go in a V, you have like 4 or 5 of them on each side and they go boom, 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 and they're in a V and they go down the highway like this. That's true. So when it snows in Minnesota, man, they are out. No snow day for you. No snow day for you. They just go and they like get those highways opened up immediately. I know that's not the case down south. But the truth is that just because you guys don't have the equipment we have. Thank you. You're amazing. Hi, Melissa. Good to see you. See, we're at our new time. I'm hoping this works so much better for people. So basically what I'm saying is that the snow, if you have good tires, like this is just common knowledge, like here in Minnesota, you have good tires, you can plow through snow. Ice. Hello, you cannot. Like ice is ice. This is why semi-trucks are jackknifing and things are not happy when the ice goes across the country. So my heart goes out to everybody who just endured that ice storm down in the middle of the country. That is not a happy conversation, I'm sure, for a lot of people. I'm so grateful that my daughter ditched it. Good morning, Magda. Snow in Tennessee, Terry. Oh, I bet it's gorgeous. I bet it's so beautiful. You think it's 17 degrees in Arkansas. Oh my gosh, how do you guys deal with that? That's got to be really, really hard in Arkansas. I mean, up here, I think I haven't left my house for a couple of days. I've been busy doing stuff here, cooking and stuff. And I didn't need to go out, and we've been overcoming. And so, excuse me. So, hold on just a second. Oh my goodness. Hold on just a second. I'm going to go get a cough drop. Okay. Good to go. Good to go. So what was I saying? Hold on. Here we go. All right. So anyway, snow and ice, there's the difference. Snow in Illinois, Darla says. Goodness gracious, 70 in Florida. Sorry, not sorry, says Melissa. Man, oh man. That's crazy pants. We can handle the cold in Minnesota. We're really used to it, but I wouldn't mind moving to Florida. I say that a lot. Maybe someday we will. I really do love Florida. I love the way Florida smells when I get off of the airplane probably because of the ocean, right? Good morning, Kimberly. Kimberly, I was going to look up your testimony that you posted in the group yesterday. Will you tell me your numbers? Because I didn't want to repeat them incorrectly. Tell me where your A1C went from March to September, because I want to be able to report it properly. And my bad, I forgot to jot it down before I got online today. So there you go. All right, you guys, let's jump into the connection between insulin resistance and anxiety. And the reason why I wanted to do this one today is because we just came off of a really high anxiety season where people expect sometimes to have anxiety. Oh my goodness gracious. Good morning from Ireland. Really nice to see you. Welcome in. We expect to have anxiety during the Christmas holiday season. But now that we're off of that, we're past that, and we're going to go into the rest of the year, let's make sure that we deal with it from a root conversation, insulin resistance, so that you can have a different season even next year, or the next thing that comes up this year that might feel very stressful for you. So Kimberly's testimony is that from March, her A1C was 6.8, and September it was 5.9. She was taking the trio. Those are the 3 supplements. I talk about these a lot. And I always tell you, you guys, don't take my word for it. You don't have to listen to me. Listen to the testimonies of the other people, because if you can listen to testimonies, then you can get your hopes up and you can feel encouraged. Okay? It's really important. Like, you want to know stuff works. You want to know, and it's just dealing with your body on a cellular level. It's dealing with it from an internal engine perspective. That's why this is no jazz hands. This is not magic. This is just how I started a little over 10 years ago. And now the testimonies are incredible. They're so much fun. Thank you, Kimberly, for sharing. And if you know that you need to get your A1C down, you know that you need to get your sugars down, you know that this is what's impeding your ability to lose weight, you know that, and she's off of meds too. She's off of, I think, some diabetes scripts. And I'm trying to remember, hold on just a second. There was another piece of that, but that's okay. You need to get encouraged. And so I put my site right there for the people on TikTok, because you can go there and you can look at the trio, and then don't miss the testimony button. Don't miss the testimony button, because you can read one after another, after another, after another. Like, we're just putting them on a Google sheet because there's so many. Okay. So I just want you to know that. And again, get into the challenge today. The 5-day reset starts today at 3:00 Central Standard Time. You won't be sorry, because it will help you a ton to be able to have a different 2025. So the whole, back to the conversation about anxiety, I think what this raised in me was because I just had a conversation with a young girl who is in her 20s. And now remember, back in my 20s, I'll be 60 this month. Back in my 20s, gestational diabetic with my first baby. He was 9 pounds, 13 ounces when I had him. It was very traumatic, to say the least. Very traumatic. And I was checking my blood 4 times a day. I was doing all the things. That's when I'm 22. I had already been raised in an Italian family with a lot of type 2 and obesity. My dad dies by the time I'm 30. He was 63. And going through that whole scenario, I felt like I was very dysfunctional in my 20s. I used to kind of say, and now I know to correct my words, like I'm careful how I speak about myself now. I hope that's something that you can incorporate too in your life. There's a good book out there that says what to say when I talk to myself. I highly recommend you get it. It's an old book by Shad Helmstetter. And basically, I used to say things like, life just doesn't dawn on me. Like common sense things don't dawn on me. Why is that? And I kind of felt very disconnected from reality or from my body. And so here I am talking to this 25-year-old girl, texting. And she reached out to me because of a story about my daughter having had trichotillomania and using an adaptogenic herb to help, etc. And I always ask before, when you want to do an adaptogenic herb and you're doing it for anxiety reasons, and you are not knowing for sure whether or not somebody's on medications, I always ask, because I know that if you are on an SSRI, which is what does it stand for completely? Serotonin. It's an uptake. It's a serotonin uptake. Let me see if I have the actual. inhibitor. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, right? And I said to her, I said, listen, I said, first of all, you have to go do your own research to see if what you're taking conflicts with an adaptogenic herb. You got to go do that research on your own. I said, but what I want you to know, now that I look back into my 20s and how I was dealing with severe postpartum depression, I was dealing with insulin resistance gone wrong, like all over the place. My 20s were not a good space for me or for starting my family. It was just challenging. I had a lot of things going on. And then my dad dies, like I said, at 30. And so I said, first of all, if you're already on an SSRI, you got to go find out your own conflict with that. But secondly, I said, this is what I would tell myself if I was in my 20s and looking back as to anxiety and what was going on. And so that conversation is what sparked this today, because I feel like anxiety has become so commonplace in our conversations with each other that it is at the peak moment of literally, oh, you're on meds. Well, so am I. And it's a very dangerous place for us to be living because we're really messing ourselves up. So the first thing when it comes to anxiety, and I'm going to bring it right back around insulin resistance because I feel like that's the most important conversation to have. This is what we do every day, right? 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We talk about insulin resistance. So if you're on an SSRI for anxiety, I would never make any claims. I would never tell you to get off of it on your own, etc. But I will tell you that there is a holistic psychiatrist who left the profession about 7 years ago. She's on TikTok and I followed her for a long time. And she said, I couldn't do it anymore because not one person should ever be given an SSRI. And that's all I was prescribing because that's what I was told to prescribe. And so she said she left the industry and she became a holistic psychiatrist, which is just what it sounds like, doing everything, holistically. And I'm just going to tell you why SSRIs are not helpful for anxiety, but then we're going to bring it right back because we want to talk about the root cause and then what to do with it from there. So SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, are commonly prescribed for anxiety and depression, but they come with significant downsides, especially when considering your gut health. And this is what I told her. I said, 5 years from now, I want you to remember, that was that one lady that I reached out to and she told me to pay attention to my gut health. I want that to be the conversation in your head when you're 30. Because like I said, she's 25. 90% of your serotonin is made in your gut. Disrupting this system can worsen both mental and metabolic health. So it's not without issue if you have anxiety going on. And it's not without issue if you're on an SSRI. It's not like you just get to take that and then you're home free. So serotonin is not just a brain neurotransmitter. It also plays a major role in digestion, mood regulation, and gut motility. Healthy bacteria help produce and regulate serotonin, but SSRIs interfere with this process. They alter your gut microbiome balance. They can disrupt beneficial gut bacteria, leading to dysbiosis. So if you're on one, or if you recently got off of one and you need to realign your gut, just stick around. This imbalance contributes to bloating, IBS-like symptoms, inflammation, which can worsen anxiety. They can cause or worsen leaky gut. Chronic SSRI use is linked to increased intestinal permeability, allowing toxins to enter the bloodstream. This triggers immune responses, inflammation, and heightened stress reactions, all of which fuel anxiety. They don't address the root cause. Low serotonin isn't necessarily the cause of anxiety. Often it's gut dysfunction, poor blood sugar control. Hope you're hearing this, you guys. Low serotonin is not necessarily the cause of your anxiety, but oftentimes it's gut dysfunction, poor blood sugar control, or chronic inflammation. Instead of fixing these root issues, SSRIs merely trap serotonin in the brain, leading to dependency. They can disrupt blood sugar and insulin sensitivity. SSRIs have been shown to impact glucose metabolism, potentially contributing to insulin resistance over time. Blood sugar instability is a major driver of anxiety. I'm going to repeat that. Blood sugar instability is a major driver of anxiety. So this can create a vicious cycle. Withdrawal and emotional blunting. Over time, SSRIs can lead to emotional numbness, fatigue, and apathy rather than true healing. Withdrawal symptoms can be severe, making it hard to stop without significant side effects. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into talking about some of the lesser known symptoms of anxiety and then how there is a connection. And I know that I missed something here. Hold on. Yep. Tyler says, so true. You were so bloated. Yep. I'm telling you, it's crazy. It's just crazy how this works, you know? And it's like, if you know that you can take steps to offset this, I want you to think about this for just a second. If you're somebody who has anxiety, and I feel like any kind of anxiety that I was feeling in my 40s, I never, ever, ever, ever attributed it to insulin resistance because I didn't even know the terminology insulin resistance. I thought it was just common to perimenopause. But under the surface, feeling that anxiety as you're moving through hormonal changes, insulin is the first hormone to mess everything else up, including your inability to lose weight. Okay? Including your inability to burn fat. So, let's talk about some of the symptoms that you might be feeling with anxiety and know that you can naturally start to shift things this year so that the next time you have a heightened season, and that heightened season might be the holidays next year, but it also might be that all of a sudden you're taking care of a parent. It might be all of a sudden somebody loses a job. It might be all of a sudden, there's any kind of illness in the family or whatever, and your cortisol is yet again, you're in fight or flight. You weren't planning on it, and here we go again. So what if you began to deal with some root issues? And what do we talk about all the time? Right here, this core right here. Insulin resistance and everything else from there on up. Boom, 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 boom. Insulin resistance. Type 2, PCOS, gout, fatty liver, depression, anxiety, exhaustion, not sleeping well, weight gain, belly fat, like everything else, boom, on top of this root right here. That's why I talk about this every single day. Lesser known symptoms, dizzy spells, especially between meals. These are symptoms of anxiety that can come from blood sugar swings, cortisol overload, and gut-brain disruption. Dizzy spells, especially between meals, tingling in your hands or feet linked to nerve damage from insulin resistance, frequent nightmares or restless sleep. I thought that was interesting. Sudden panic attacks without a clear trigger. Like just all of a sudden, without a clear trigger, panic attack. Excessive worry after eating, linked to blood sugar spikes. So if you eat food that's spiking your sugar and now you have excessive worry, it's a correlation to a blood sugar spike. And feeling tired but wired at night. Does anybody experience that? You're tired, but you're wired at night instead of just going to bed. Linda, Oh, you almost missed me. Well, good. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the party. And then at 3:00, we're doing the 5-day reset in the group. So anyway, thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow, Gail. You're amazing. So what happens then is you have to stabilize your blood sugars. You might not even know you have blood sugar issues. And remember, with insulin resistance, you can be insulin resistant for years and decades before it shows up in your blood sugar. Years and decades. That was me. I started in my 20s with gestational diabetes with my first child, and I didn't do anything for 25 years, you guys. Like, come on. So why do you think that maybe in my 40s, I was starting to feel that familiar depression again? That was from my postpartum back in my 20s. There's a connection to all of this. So let's start to turn it back more naturally. And you might be surprised. I have had, well, I already know for sure one customer that has talked to me very specifically about getting off of an anti-anxiety this last summer. That's a really big deal for her. And it's hard. I'm not going to lie. It's tough because there's a dependency. So this is why we always talk about prioritizing protein. Protein, blah, 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 blah. Protein. And when you're a new customer, you'll get a text from me with the protein guide. You'll get a text. And then when you get into the group, you'll get tagged in a free recipe pantry PDF. Because if you can change what got you into the pickle to begin with, you can change the results of what's happening inside of your body. Prioritize protein and healthy fats. Grass-fed meats, wild-caught fish, avocados. Obviously, cut refined carbs, grains, and sugars to prevent spikes and crashes. Somebody texted me yesterday or the day before, messaged me and said, I'm learning a lot by listening to your videos. And one of the things that she was the most grateful for was finding out that you don't go low carb according to the matrix and have 150 grams of carbs or less a day. No. That's criminal information, in my opinion. And low carb is not even 50 grams of carbs or lower a day if you're trying to lose weight. If you're trying to get into fat burning mode, try 30 grams or less a day and stop messing around with that net carb BS. Just stop it. You're living on the fringes. It's keeping you overweight. You're frustrated. You're thinking, I'm eating healthy. I eat keto. And come on. And those carbs add up really fast. Most everything has carbs. Like even onions have carbs. People are like, oh, I pretty much eat no carbs. And then we really don't know. And again, God didn't make bad food. This is not about demonizing any food groups. This is not about, just get over that conversation. That's stupid. We're talking about insulin resistance. You already entered the land. You're already in insulin resistance land. So now you're like, I'm tired of being fat. I'm tired of all the belly fat. I'm tired of chasing carbs all day, every day, and then beating myself up mentally, thinking I'm just a loser and that I'm never going to do any better than I've ever done before. So why even try? I'm dealing with anxiety, and I absolutely have to get my anxiety under control, or the script routine that I'm on and the side effects that I have suck so bad. And I'm so done. So in light of that, let's just recognize that once you're in insulin resistant land, you just have to do things differently to back out of it. Okay? And it's not because we're demonizing anything. And we are definitely not doing something that's not sustainable. That's just an excuse for people to not do it. And that's just somebody else's judgment not towards you, but it's their, no, it's not judgment. It's not the word. It's their projection of their own inability to accomplish it. When they tell you that eating whole food keto, 30 grams of carbs or less a day is unsustainable, that's their projection of their inability to do it or their belief that they're not able to do it. Because they can, but it's just their belief system. It's their own limiting belief. So you have to not receive other people's limiting beliefs and just recognize that, oh my gosh, what if I actually did it and turned around my anxiety? What if I did it and I actually began to burn fat? What if I did it and I actually got off of scripts? What if I did it and I actually started sleeping at night? What if I did it and fill in the blank? And one of the best testimonies is that young kid. His name is Ray. He's on, thank you, Patty, for the follow. We don't need carbs for energy. I know we don't. And I know that that's a normal conversation. If we were not, how do I say this? I should go back to the conversation that John Klusterman was having. I need to find that information. He's the longevity expert that we listened to in December. And when your body is in fat burning mode, how do I say this? Let's see, how can I say this succinctly? The number one job of insulin is insulin in your body is to burn glucose for energy. So correct. That's what you're thinking, right? We must need glucose. We must need carbs in order to have energy. And the energy that we're talking about is you eat, it gets turned into glucose, your insulin goes and it grabs it and it brings it into the cell, it shuttles it into the cell, and your cell now has energy. But the problem is that when you are resistant, when your cell is resistant like this, now it's not getting into the cell. So the carbs that you're eating, it's getting turned into fat because insulin is also a fat storing hormone. So it's shuttling glucose, its preferred fuel, into the cell. But when it can't because the door closed to that storage unit, it's going to store it as fat on your body. And not all the fat is noticeable. Some of it's around your organs. Okay? So now what happens is you have to stop providing it with so much glucose, higher, oh, but I have to have all my whole grains. I'm going to listen to all of the marketing given to me by all of the crop industries. I need to eat all my whole grains. Oatmeal is heart healthy. No, it's not. All of these things that are spiking our sugars and calling on more insulin and then turning it to fat. And now we have high inflammation because we have high insulin. You actually want your body to get into fat burning mode and to stop burning that sugar because it wants to burn the sugar, but it's going to burn it. And burn is probably the wrong word, but let's just track with me on my just super layman conversation because I'm not a doctor. You're burning sugar, but all of the excess is being turned to fat. And now you're frustrated. You're like, what the heck is going on? This is super annoying. And so we're listening to marketing. Well, you have to have, that's just ridiculous. You have to have carbs for sugar. And I'll go back to the testimony here in just a second because it's going to connect. You have to have carbs for energy. No, you don't. Actually, no, you don't, because you have so much fat on your body to burn that you could go for a very long time. It's not necessary. And not only that, but even the meat that you eat gets turned into glucose because your body is doing that as a fuel. It's just turning it into a little bit instead of a lot of it. So we have to understand the biological process. You don't have to eat carbs in order to have glucose for fuel. But you've been told that you should not be living out of balance. But we're fatter than we've ever been. We're more medicated than we've ever been. We're sicker than we've ever been. We're filled with anxiety, depression. We're not sleeping. We're hangry. We're exhausted. We're fatigued. We're having joint replacements because we're listening to the wrong advice. So instead of listening to the USDA, instead of listening to the government or your provider, the matrix, that's telling you that you can have up to 150 grams of carbs a day, even as a type 2, that's trash information, you guys. You have to wake up and take back your own control. That's who I'm usually talking to on any given day. You're the person who actually wants to finally take back control of your body. You actually want to take back control of your health situation. Kimberly says that for 3 years, I did what the food pyramid said and I never lost anything, and she became diabetic even though she was doing what they told me. Are you guys listening? Are you listening? For 3 years, she did what the food pyramid said and she never lost anything, and she became diabetic. Even though she was doing what they told her. I changed it all with these supplements. I'll share with that, you guys, in just a second. And different eating, and lost 20 pounds and got off meds. And she did it in 5 months this last year. Okay. I know it's hard. I do. I get it. It's so hard to get out of our heads of what we've been told. It's so hard. Darla says, and the trio helps tremendously with this and the food noise. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Thank you, Melissa, for sharing. You're freaking amazing. Okay, I'm going to share oh my gosh, and all the roses, Melissa, you're crazy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. The food pyramid is upside down. It is 100% upside down. So I'll quickly share what the trio is just so that people aren't confused, but then I want to share the testimony that I was going to talk about because I'm connecting the anxiety. So the trio are 3 supplements just like this. I started these over 10 years ago, and you take this one 3 times a day and the other 2 twice a day. And they are helping with sugar, insulin, liver, metabolism, visceral fat, etc. And doing that I just have the best testimonies. Like your guys' 2024 testimonies are super encouraging. Terry, she started on the trio, lost 40 pounds in 8 months. And she's 62. Kim says that she started the trio and 5 months later, her A1C went from 6.8 to 5.9 and she lost 20 pounds. Magda's saying, yay, Kimberly, you're so nice. And I do know that with Terry for sure. She also did she added in the gut reset protocol. And remember, 90% of your serotonin is made in your gut. So this is a primer and this is a probiotic. And then she also added in the orange pixie stick. And this is basically a thermogenic powder that you put on your tongue, just like an orange pixie stick. And it very much targets the fat around your waist and your hips. So there's a whole protocol that everybody can start with just one section or layer it if you want to. But the results have been so good. And don't ever take my word for it. You listen to other people, okay? Get the testimonies. And you can do that right here on TikTok. You guys can go to my site. And then you'll see 3 yellow stars, 3 different trio options. And each one of them, you'll see a testimonial button. Read the testimonies, you guys. Get your hopes up. Be like, what if that was me this year? What if I'm the one who is the testimony like Kimberly? What if I'm the one who's the testimony like Terry? Put your own name in there. I mean, she literally said she lost 20 pounds. She got off of her meds, her type 2 meds, and her A1C went from a 6.8 down to 5.9 in 5 months. Come on. You guys can do this. Okay. So the testimony is when I'm looking at all of this information, it makes me think of back to Melissa's comment about, carbs for energy. His name is Ray, Carnivore Ray, I think is his name on TikTok. And he's in his 20s. So just think about this. Go back in time. What if you knew certain things in your 20s? I mean, we always say that, right? What if you could go back in time with the knowledge you have now, right? We'd be really powerful. And he says the number one benefit that he has when he goes carnivore is his mental health. It's his mental health. Because blood sugar swings are connected to anxiety. And when you can get your blood sugar swings under control, and you've never even heard that before, you had no idea that you should be doing anything about your blood sugar swings. Like, why were you even thinking that, right? So he's obviously insulin resistant. He's in his 20s, just like I was insulin resistant in my 20s. I did not go carnivore. Never even knew that was a thing, of course. Why would I? That was a long time ago. And he's like, whoa, wait a minute. Major connection between my mental health status and the food that I'm eating. And really, it's probably a connection between the food that he's eating causing blood sugar spikes. So, how do I feel about birth control? I feel like you became more hungry and sugar cravings. Yeah, I'm not super excited about birth control. I am, and I never have been my whole life. I think we're messing. I think we're playing with fire. This is me, and I know people might come at me for that. That's okay. I think we're silly to introduce anything external that messes up our hormones. And I think we do it all the time. There's no question. Yeah, when I went on birth control first, I did it for like 6 months when I got married. We've been married for 37 years now. And I gained 10 pounds in a month. I mean, it was just automatic. You're just messing with your hormones. Like, we have to stop thinking that nothing has consequences. I mean, honestly, the number of girls that have been put on birth control for their acne, just stop it. Just shut up is what I want to say to our providers. Just shut up. Teach those young girls about their gut health. And again, I never dealt with cystic acne. I'm not even claiming that I have any expertise in that. But I'm like, could we just start with some internal conversation about the standard American diet freaking messing up our hormones and causing all the issues to begin with? The chemicals and the food dyes and the ultra processed foods and the seed oils and the sugar coming out of our ears. And how about we just talk about some of the internal root causes before we start giving young girls birth control to fix their acne? Like, it's absolutely insane. But it's just another pharma answer. I mean, that's what it is. They don't make anything by telling you to fix your gut. It's really bad. It's really bad. So anyway, see if I missed anything. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going. Just join me. How does the program work out? Rios. Lillian. Nice to meet you. So Lillian, I assume that's your name. I love that name. Basically, I teach two things. I only teach two things. I teach targeted supplementation and food ingredient trade outs. I'm Italian. Trading out my food was a really big deal. So when I talk about targeted supplementation, I really have kind of three main thought processes that I walk people through. Because a confused mind does nothing. So I don't want to give you tons and tons of information, right? But I do want you to have the basics to get the actual results. So the trio is what I start people with in conversation. And that is helping you with your sugar and your insulin, your liver, which you literally can't even lose fat if your liver is tired and toxic. And then your metabolism and your visceral belly fat. Okay. This is where I started a little over 10 years ago. You can see all of the testimonies that you need to see, or a good chunk of them. It's not every one that I've ever received, but if you go right here to my site, and there's 3 yellow star buttons. One is the trio, one is the trio plus the gut reset protocol, and one is the trio, the gut reset protocol, and the thermogenic fat burner. Okay? And you can look at any of them. There's a little video for every single one. But there's a trio testimonial button. Go look at the testimonies. You want to know about the gut primer because you are so freaking bloated all the time, you can't stand it? That's another piece of the puzzle. Get your gut calibrated. GLP-1 is made in your gut. It's made in your gut. Root conversation. I have a really good picture there, before and after, of my daughter. Like at night, she looked pregnant. She's had 3 babies. And then she took the gut primer and went to bed because she felt just like trash. This is a couple months ago. And she's like really flat. She said, I'm still actually bloated the next morning, to her, but not to me. I'm like, well, you don't look bloated, but I understand. Anyway, so that's the first piece of the conversation. The second one is get into the group, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. Every month we do a 5-day reset. We're starting one today. 5-day reset starting today. It's our 20th one. Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. Kimberly, this is her 10th one. Because what I want you to understand is you don't have to get all of the information figured out in your brain right now. Come on, what's wrong with you? No, you do a reset and you take a nugget or 2 nuggets and you apply them to your life. And you do that for the month of January. And then we'll do another reset in February. And then you'll take down the month of February, and then we'll do another reset in March. And we've been doing this now 20 times, 19 times. Today starts 20. And it's really helpful because you can learn your ingredient trade outs. You don't have to stop being a foodie. Isn't that good news? You don't have to eat trash food. You don't have to eat food you hate. Oh, yum. These rice cakes. Ew. No, that's the 1990s conversation. And not only that, but rice cakes are horrific for your insulin resistance. Do you know how high you're spiking your sugars by eating rice cakes? Because you were told to eat low fat? No more of that mess. So I'll teach you the ingredient trade outs. We do a pantry and a fridge reveal. We do a recipe. We're just going to have fun this week and we're going to reset. It's not too late to order supplements and be ready because you're getting the information. It's not too late to jump into the group. It's not too late. And get yourself encouraged and resourced, and you can decide to have a completely different 2025. So Melissa, it's just in the group. You don't even have, thank you for asking, Melissa. You're amazing. You don't even have to join. You don't even have to sign up for the 5-day reset. All you have to do is get into the group, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. That's how you can do it on TikTok. You get in there, and I will go live at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, this week. Okay? And you just have to show up for the live, or you can watch the replay. I take the replays and I put them up into the featured section of the group. Okay? So I will dump out the replays from December, and I'll start adding the replays now from January so that you don't have to, I know everybody's schedule is different. I get it. But you could just get a little bit of information and a little bit of encouragement. And you have to understand that if you can start looking at things through the lens of insulin resistance, you will stop beating yourself up all the time. You will stop thinking that you are such a loser. I'm just telling you. It can turn around so much a part of your life, and you can have different results. I mean, honestly, Kimberly just got done telling us that for 3 years, God, I've heard this so many times. It's interesting to me that 3 years keeps coming up, because that's not the first time I've had a testimony of somebody going, for 3 years, I've not been able to budge 1 pound. So for 3 years, she's following what her provider is telling her to eat. She becomes type 2. She can't budge a pound. Thank you for all the hearts. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can you imagine? I mean, honestly, it's mind-boggling that we're still doing this. It took me a long time to even come online and talk about certain pieces of this because, to be really honest, it's a little shocking that the conversation has not changed from our providers yet. It's extremely rare for me to have one of you come to me and say, I actually have a really good endocrinologist. It's super rare. They're just living on old information, and it's bad. And then you end up type 2. How dumb is this? Because a cured customer is not a profitable customer. How does that make you feel? It's really bad. But you can control your insulin resistance way more than you thought you could. It's 100% reversible. In my opinion, I'm not a doctor. 100% turnaroundable. And 5 years from now, I want you to be like, I wonder what happened to that Kirsten girl that taught me how I could still be a foodie and how I could literally give my body the raw, here, I'll just hold it all up. Give my body the raw materials that it needs in order to function so that I could turn back my insulin resistance and like actually sleep for the first time in a long time, actually like not be so exhausted, wanting to nap on the living room floor. That might have been me in my 30s. I thought that food noise was never going to go away. Darla just commented on how the trio helps with that food noise. Because it's not about you having food noise because you're a loser. I mean, think about how we're connecting this. Just think about it for a second. How we are connecting the fact that all you can do is think about potato chips. All you can do is think about going to the store and getting a Haagen-Dazs ice cream bar because that's been your thing. Or all you can do is think about like going to that certain restaurant or whatever it is for you. And you are attributing those thoughts to you not having any discipline, no control, no ability. Like you're just a whatever. You're a fatty foodie, whatever you put in your brain. And you just think like you'll never be normal. Do you ever feel like that? I just want to be normal. Well, what if you came to the understanding that as you continually spike your sugars, an actual symptom of insulin resistance is the chasing of carbs and sugars. We'll go over that a little bit today in the group with our 5-day reset. It's actually a symptom of insulin resistance. It's not an indictment on who you are. I want that to be such good news for you. I want you to wrap your brain around that. That's probably what I'll talk about a little bit today. I had to go third party on myself. What does that mean? I had to assess my world and why things bothered me or didn't bother me, why things triggered me all by myself without emotion involved. Because I had to just be a scientist about my own stuff. And you can do the exact same thing. So when I talk about a blueprint of transformation, this is what I'm talking about. Targeted supplementations, food ingredient trade outs, and a complete track blueprint to run on inside the group Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women every single month. Get encouraged and get resourced. It's very simple. It's very streamlined. But you have to actually stop self-sabotaging, and you have to start actually taking the time to sit down and go, I'm going to take 10 minutes and look through those testimonies. And I'm going to get myself encouraged. And then don't forget that when you do order, register with your name, because don't miss out on the good shipping. That's my thing. I don't want you to miss out on the good shipping. So don't do that. But my point being that this can be very streamlined, and you guys can be your own testimony in 2025. It's so exciting. And you don't have to hate your life. You just do not. Okay, so I just wanted to bring that conversation to you today, because everything that we just talked about, turning back your insulin resistance with the trio, using the gut reset protocol, 90% of your serotonin is made in your gut, using, even if you wanted to add on, and you don't have to, but if you want to add on the fat burner, this is where we're getting a lot of really good conversations. And I will say this is a clinical dose of an extract that it's a thermogenic, which means it burns. Thermogenic, think about that, right? So it's a thermogenic, and it's recommended that you go 90 days on and then you take a break. Right now I'm on my 30-day break and I don't like it. I'm not going to lie. But I do want to I'm testing. I always test everything myself as I bring it to you guys. And I've seen such a significant decrease in my own hips and my own waist, and people are saying the same thing. So much so that I sent, boxes to my girlfriend in Texas and said, you're welcome, because it's really good. But it tastes like orange candy. So much so that I sent it to a customer and had her test her sugars for me because I was concerned, because that's how good it tastes. So you literally put it on your tongue like a pixie stick, and it's super yummy. It's like your treat every single day. I don't ship to Ireland. Oh, I wish I did. Man. Thank you for asking, though. I know I actually get a lot of people from Australia, UK, Ireland, etc., and South Africa. Yeah, I wish I did, but I don't. And so, hold on. Yes, Melissa, give yourself grace to take time for yourself. You're trying to work on that. I know. Oh, Lillian, you had a heart attack 3 months ago. Are these products safe for me? You need to lose 20 pounds also. Well, this is what I would say, Lillian. I am not a doctor. I'm always going to say that. And so I don't know the list of meds that you are on. But I will say this. I haven't had one customer have any conflicts with any of those types of meds to date. So you have to do my puzzle. You have to do your own research, because obviously that's kind of how that goes. To my knowledge and understanding, perfectly safe. But I have had people purchase products and then bring them to their doctor to get clearance because they feel better about that. I'm not in a hurry for anybody to do anything. I just want you to know that I'm very keenly aware of my role. And my role is that I am a completely different opportunity than just buying something off of an Amazon ad that you saw on Facebook or an Amazon find from, whatever. Because when you order through me, you'll get me. Okay? You'll get me as your cheerleader, but also to your resource. And thus the group and the 5-day resets. I can't imagine, as I look through the ingredients, just me as a layperson, I know the exact ingredients and everything. I can't fathom that there's anything in here, in any one of these options, that would interfere with that. I would only think that they would help. But I always want people to be as safe as possible, because that's obviously a very big conversation. But I'm telling you, not turning around insulin resistance, that's where we get into the pickle with the heart attack, you guys. That was my dad. I moved away from the Twin Cities when my first baby was 2 years old. And we lived out in the Black Hills of South Dakota for about 8 years. And when we did that, my dad, his health was not getting better, to say the least. And every Saturday morning, I would call my dad. This is in the day, you guys all know what I'm talking about, where it was very expensive to make phone calls. I mean, our phone plans were outrageous, were they not? Oh my gosh, we spent so much money. And I would call every Saturday morning and I would talk to my dad. And he'd be like, stop calling, whatever, don't spend your money. And I'm like, oh no. I just knew that his health wasn't good. And pretty soon I'm flying home for emergency procedures for my dad from Rapid City, South Dakota to Minneapolis, a 90-minute flight. And who knows, it just cost us $1 million, I'm sure. That's how it felt anyway. Flying into Minneapolis for another hospital visit because he had heart attacks and bypass surgery and pacemaker. And then that turned into dialysis. And he was on dialysis for 2 years. And I was still living out in the Black Hills of South Dakota when he died. And we had come home for vacation that week. It was in July of 1995. And I came home and he was just gray. His coloring was really off. And he had been doing dialysis for about 2 years at that time because his kidneys, again, you guys, core conversation, root conversation. I remember. I wonder what happened to that Kirsten Liebelt lady. I wonder what happened to that Kirsten Liebelt lady that taught me that insulin resistance was the main conversation to always have, because everything else stemmed from insulin resistance that was not taken care of. Do you see why I'm so confident in people's ability to, what did Kimberly say? She got off of her diabetes meds. 5 months this last year, 2024. Come on. Your high blood pressure isn't because you're eating salt. Stop it. That's really stupid information. It's because of insulin resistance. High sugars in your body and high insulin in your body is detrimental to your internal engine health. Detrimental. So I am so sorry that you had a heart attack 3 months ago. For real. So hard. Scary. But turning this around, man, you can do it. Absolutely can do it. You can get healthy again. Your body was created by God to be healed. It was created, all of these miraculous systems in place. Just because we made bad choices and now, whatever, we're dealing with the fallout doesn't mean that it was not engineered to originally run like a Porsche. Has that dawned on you? Your body was created to run like a Porsche. Just because we drove it like it was a rental doesn't mean that you can't bring it back up to snuff again. You can, but you got to go to the mechanic. You have to actually lift up your hood and get your systems functioning again. You would never, ever, 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 ever go to a mechanic and say, I have no idea why my vehicle, my brand new vehicle that I bought X amount of years ago, isn't running in perfect condition. I mean, I've never changed the oil, but it should still be running perfectly fine. Your mechanic would laugh at you and probably kick you out. Right? I think probably that's true. Hold on. Okay. I'm going to grab something. Get myself a cough drop here. So, all right, we're going to wrap up for today, 3 o'clock Central Standard Time in the group. Be there or be square. How's that sound? Excuse me. Cheryl, how are you? It's so good to see you. Yeah, you are welcome. Thank you, Gigi, for following. I so appreciate you. Yep, I'm telling you, we can take back our health. We can be so empowered. All right, I'm going to jump off, calm my voice, be in the group at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. You guys have like the best day ever. I'll be back here tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We'll talk about insulin resistance again. Let me see here. There we go. Have a great day, you guys.